I'm tired as heck, but we're gonna do this. Alrighty. What is up today, guys? Despite how tired we all are, we're gonna do it again. So let's get into this. This is my experience for Full Sales Computer Animation degree program. Class 21, for me anyway. Project and Portfolio 5. This could be your class, what is it, 18 to 23-ish. I had 3 prerequisites done, so could be your 18 to 23, somewhere in there. Just depends on where you fall. But this was my 21st class, and Project and Portfolio 5. So yeah, and my discipline for this program is animation, so keep that in mind. Before we get into this, here's our breakdown. We're going to talk about the class information, some assignments, the teacher, some tips, and then in short, and we'll get on out of here. Goodness, I'm tired as heck. Got up at 4 this morning to go to work. Got home around 2-ish. Went out and did some errands. I just took a 3-hour nap, but I'm still tired as heck. Alrighty, class information. Alrighty, so you've got 11 assignments this month, 4 milestones, your professionalism, an area of study, 4 discussions, and then you've got some sort of career module thing. That's 11, I'm pretty sure. Depending on your discipline, your class is gonna be different. Like I said before, I chose animation, so I'm animating. That's pretty much it for class information. I mean, we're still in Maya. You know, they give you the scene, and they give you the characters you can choose from, and that's pretty much it. Let's just hop into some assignments and work our way through this. Tired as heck, and I'm out of cough drops. So for week 1, let's talk about things that aren't your milestone project, and then we'll hop into the milestone. Again, animation. Keep that in mind. So in week 1, you have 3 things to complete: your area of study, your milestone, and your IDP. Area of study, we're in Project and Portfolio 5, so unless you're changing from modeling to animation, or animation to modeling, or animation to reading, unless you're changing your discipline, you don't have to do anything here. Just check, and you're good. And then your discussion, IDP, Individual Development Plan. And if that kind of sounds just a little bit familiar, we've done an IDP before. Was it Portfolio 3? I'm thinking it was either 2 or 3. And basically, as a refresher what it is, it's your career goal, your strengths, your action plan, your timeline, and your follow-up and implementation. Super easy. Don't even sweat it. It's an easy discussion. You're just talking about yourself, so how can you really get it wrong, right? That's everything aside from your milestone. So let's talk about the milestone. So animation milestones. You're just taking your scene, choosing your camera, choosing your character, you're blocking it out. Now, what exactly are you blocking out? Like, you're making one animation throughout the month, but is it over anything specific? What's going on? This is a pantomime project, and that just means acting with a purpose. As I talk to you about my milestones, I'll kind of walk you through my thought process. So I'll tell you some feedback that I got, and we'll just go from there. So this first one, milestone 1. Before I jumped into Maya and blocked out my scene, I was like, okay, I'm gonna choose my camera, choose my character. That way I know what my scene kind of looks like, and then I recorded my reference. My idea was, I'm gonna have a guy, he's kind of walking, and he sees something through a window. He's like, holy shoot, I gotta get to that. So he jumps, trying to kind of keep himself from being seen through the window, but he can't just do that long of a roll. So he jumps, he's a little bit in the window view area. He lands, he rolls, he kind of gets up, and then he's like, okay, we're gonna bust down this door. So then he kicks, and I just did a punch when I said kick. But he kicks down the door, and then he trips, falls in. But you see his thumb come up through the window. He's like, okay, we're all good. It's all good in here. He's like, whoa, reacting. I gotta act and jump over there, kick down this door. And then he falls in, and he's like, oh, I guess everything's okay in here. Thumbs up, we're all good. I'm watching it right now as I talk to you, and I just put in my key poses. I did contact poses and passing poses for my block out. It's alright. I got a 96 in week 1. No, I did not a 96. I got a 94 for my milestone, 96 in my total for week 1. They were like, you know what? You need to work on your poses. Some of your poses are a little stiff, and apparently I was cranking the shoulders way down. It was like -38 on the Y rotation. So the shoulder, which, you know, oh shoot, I hit the table. fixed. So, you know, shoulder here is at 0. It's like negative 38. And that's because when I set up my my quick selection buttons, my script, Maya, whatever, when I set those up for my character, goofy me forgot to include the shoulders. So whenever I changed the shoulders on one pose, it just messed up my entire posing, blocking out. That was pretty much my week 1, pretty simple, and that's what we have. Oh, and it's really dark right now because my lamp broke, so boom. Darkness. Okay, moving on from the darkness, we're gonna head into week 2. Quick note, I'll touch on this right now, but I'll talk more about it in the teacher section. But the online professor was just not able to do any grading for weeks 1 and 2. So the campus instructor did the grading for weeks 1 and 2, and then the online one came back for weeks 3 and 4. So there's that for you. That probably won't happen in your case, but it happened with me. Okay, so before we move on to week 2, let me tell you the amount of time I spent in week 1. Week 1, I spent 701 minutes. Is 11 hours, 41 minutes. It's really not too bad. And as you know, with project and portfolio classes at this point, there are no lectures, so it's free reign. And I friggin' love that, because the past 2 months with the nuke and the synthesize and all that junk, it was nothing but watch the lecture, follow along, turn that project in. And I did not like that. Because for one, if I have to watch something, I want it to be an hour, 2 hours max, then I want free reign to do my junk. I like to just chill, listen to music, listen to YouTube videos, do whatever, while I do my work. And like I said, the past 2 months were just junk and didn't get a chance to do that. But with this class, it's simply your 25 to 30 minute critique that they give you after each week. You take your notes from that and you make your scene better. That's pretty much it. So like I said, week 1, 11 hours, 41 minutes. Let's move on to week 2. In week 2, you had your milestone and a discussion. Easy. Let's get the discussion out of the way. Discussion is networking. I believe it asked for 1 in-person place you can meet someone in the industry and 2 online places. It's pretty dang easy. It's just easy. Don't sweat it. They're not going to be like, that is not a sufficient resource to use. If anything, they're just gonna be like, you know what, that's not commonly used, but whatever works for you, whatever is available to you, awesome, utilize it. And that's pretty much it. When it comes down to discussions, they're almost just a gimme. You do have to put in work, but I feel like the majority of the time you're gonna get a 100 on them if you just put in the effort. So there is that. Let's move on to the milestone. For milestone 2, you have to do the week 1 corrections, which Mine took me almost 5 hours. Shoot, what the heck did I have to correct? I forget. I think those 5 hours I mostly just spent fixing poses, and then you're just adding secondary details. If you have a walk cycle in there, complete that. Your contact, contact, squash, passing, up, contact. That's your walk cycle. That's pretty much it. Add anticipations, add squashing and stretching, add just secondary details. That's pretty much it in terms of the animation. I don't know what any other of the disciplines had going on, but yeah, that's pretty much it. One of the things that I remember after watching this that I did have to correct was my breakdown of the kick in week 1. Because in week 1 I was like trying to find a balance between playing to the camera and not breaking the character when I'm having him kick. That was pretty much it, along with fixing some poses and stuff. Secondary details took me, again, around 5 hours. And then the discussion was around an hour as well. That was pretty much it. I mean, I don't mean to be so like, oh, nothing really to say. But it's just animation. We've done this I've done this for 21 months now, and I'm sure you're somewhere right around with me. Secondary details. There's not really much you can say. No one's animation is going to look exactly the same. And that's what I love about the animation and modeling kind of classes. When it came down to things like Nuke, all of the projects look the exact same. Animation, no one has made this animation except me. So, I mean, there's that, and it's friggin' awesome to think I made something completely unique for my portfolio. And it's awesome. During this week, I had a discussion with my fiance, and she's like, when are you gonna get to good animation? And I was like, this is friggin' good animation. And she was like, look, your character doesn't look good, the scene isn't even realistic. And she was in the mindset of, when are you gonna start having realistic scenes? When are you gonna start... Did that light just get brighter? When are you gonna start having realistic scenes and Pixar, Disney quality characters? And I was like, honestly, I probably won't. I think the closest I got was that bunny character in character animation a few months ago. And I'm sure many of you have to explain to like your significant other or family members or friends or whatever that the animation discipline doesn't care about what the character looks like, what the scene looks like. It's all about the movement. And then that's something that she had to understand. And she's like, you're just learning how to move things. And I was like, yeah, you know, laws of physics, how do characters move throughout space, and that's pretty much it. Eventually, I'm gonna have my own characters that I model, rig, texture, and then animate. And then my knowledge of how things move will help me make realistic characters move real. I can always learn how to model something, or a fancy kind of rigging, or a new texturing technique. I feel like learning proper laws of motion and physics and character movement is something that is well worth my time to learn while I'm at Full Sail. I'm not saying that the others aren't, but this is my preference. Like, what would I prefer to learn while I'm at Full Sail? And this is it. And I just friggin' love animating. It's like playing with a 3D toy. It's great. So let's continue. Week 2, I spent 662 minutes, which is 11 hours and 2 minutes, very close to week 1. Alrighty, so we're gonna move on to week 3. In week 3, you had your milestone and your discussion. Let's get the discussion out of the way. Your discussion was a burn list. And again, like the IDP, you're like, doesn't that sound a little familiar? Yes, we've done a burn list in the past. I pulled up my past burn list and I just adjusted things that I've learned. I adjusted my wording and such. It didn't take but 52 minutes. So, I mean, there's that. Okay, so week 3 with the assignment. This was a fun one. For starters, going into week 3, I knew that this would be the heavy week. This is the week that you're polishing, and technically you should want to get your scene as close to perfect as you can. That way you have week 4 for, you know, finalizations. Let's figure out what really happened, because this was a pain in the butt. I saw that I got an 89 in week 2, and I was like, oh shoot, I'm gonna have a ton of corrections. I didn't even want to watch the critique, because I was like, I'm just gonna get chewed out on campus. Professor's just gonna be like, this is terrible, this is bad. No, you're terrible. You fail, get out of Full Sail. In hindsight, it's an 89. It's not terrible. It's not what I like, but it is what it is. And I guess a bad quality about me is that I'm not cocky or anything like that, but I'm confident in what I do. So when I see I got an 89, I'm like, oh shoot, and then it just like destroys my confidence. But let's talk about what happened. So when I positioned my character back at the beginning of week 1, my character starts on like an incline. I moved the master control over there, I moved it down, and then I rotated it so that he's not only facing the way he needs to go, but he's angled so that his feet are just starting on the floor. Apparently you are not supposed to rotate the master control in X or Z. You can rotate it in Y to face your character, but nothing else. And then that was just a massive undertaking for corrections. Do I actually have what it looked like? In the critique video that I watched during week 3 for week 2's assignment, he was moving up the master control, and he's like, look, this is where it should be. But I think his auto key was on, because he was scrubbing through the timeline to show me the repercussions of having this moved and how it would put my character at an angle. And I think his auto key was on because the master control then started moving up and down. And he's like, dude, are you animating your master control? That's not good. And I'm just sitting here, I'm like, no, my master control wasn't animated. You moved it and your auto key is on, or you set the key or something. Regardless, it's not animated. You moved it. And then it was like I was being critiqued on that aspect that I didn't do. Granted, I did rotate it and I made a big mess of everything. But I was like, didn't animate it though, I know that. So, watching this, you now know, you should have known to begin with, don't animate the master control. And secondly, don't rotate the master control in X or Z. No, you are not going to Hollywood, not going to Vegas. So this is what my scene looked like when I simply moved the master control up, fixed the rotation in X and Z. No bueno, no bueno. As you saw, he looked like he was starting out alright, and then he just slowly rotated into the ground, so that's not good. So what I had to do then was grab my translates and bring them up. When I did that, something happened with the arcs on my feet where they just shot up to the ceiling. I'm watching it right now, and that was just a big mess. Then after spending about 3 hours changing the master control placement and fixing my translates and my cog and my hands and my feet, getting all those back where they need to be. That was about 3 hours. Then the next day, I was able to start the other corrections he mentioned. He was like, dude, you're killing me with these shoulders. Your spine isn't being rotated. I can see that you just turned the cog instead of lowering it and changing the direction of the spine and stuff. I guess I didn't know that your cog is supposed to stay flat, and then you rotate your hips and you rotate your spine to create a nice curve. Instead, I just kind of turned the cog and then turned the spine a little bit, because I've got that big jump in there. So I was like, turn the cog and he'll be all right. That's apparently not good. So I learned that. This was a learning week, to say the least. I spent 177 minutes fixing the master control thing, and then I spent 482 minutes on just general corrections, and then I was able to spend 649 minutes on just the actual week 3 assignment, which was tertiary details, you know, polishing, getting this thing done to an acceptable degree. And then of course I had my discussion and the time submitting it. Shoot, at the end of it, this week's work time was 1,405 minutes, which turned into 23 hours 25 minutes. So this was a crazy jump in time working for the week. It was a real pain in the butt. But I'm very happy with how this week turned out, because it looked nice, it was smooth, all of my arcs and stuff just work nicely together, and I really like the outcome of this week. When I was looking at it, I was about to turn in, I was like, oh dang, my walk looks a little fast. It is what it is. And I was like, this is 11 o'clock at night, I need to just submit this. And then I see on the submission page, it's like, animators, you need to have like a practice render of your play blast. And I was like, holy shoot, I forget how to render. So I was looking stuff up, I finally found something. I was like, okay, cool, render sequence. But then when I rendered it, I just got these weird colorations and stuff, and it took 20 minutes to render that, and I'm like, look, here it is, it's 11:30. I don't know what the heck's going on, so I just turned in a play blast. I still got a 92, and in the critique, the render factor didn't play any part. Maybe it's part of the reason I got a 92, but if it was a factor, it wasn't mentioned. So I don't know if that's just like practice rendering, know how long it's gonna take, or if they really did want it rendered. I'm not sure, but it wasn't mentioned in my critique video, and I didn't turn in a rendered or practice render or anything rendered during week 3, and I got a 92. So I mean, I don't think it's a massive deal. Now week 4, they did want it rendered, so keep that in mind. I just watched my week 4 and I really like how it looks. But let's go ahead and look at week 4. We know that week 3 took me 23 hours 25 minutes. Let's look at week 4 and see what's going on there. I just got my grade for my milestone 4 hours ago, so that's why I've been holding off a little bit, but you know, I was taking a nap too. And here it is, 10 p.m. on Monday, the 25th of November of 2019. Look at that. 10 years in the future, when someone finds this video, they'll know, what was he doing? Now you know. This is my alibi. Ah. Okay, so in week 4, what do you have? You have your milestone, your discussion, your professionalism to check off, and you have a career module connection. What the heck is that? Let's just knock that one out of the way first. It's a discussion, you post something and then you reply. It's like, if you're not taking this class, just write a comment saying, I'm not taking this class, and that's what I did. And then I commented on myself, like I replied to myself, and I was like, hey, I'm also not taking this class. That was pretty much it. That's how I checked off both of those, and it was 5% of the grade to kind of just hand you, so that was nice. Professionalism, check it off, 10%, boom. The discussion is a rough cut of your demo reel. We're finally getting some work that we can be proud of. I really like my jump from Project and Portfolio 2, because it's like, that was my first action kind of thing, and I really liked it. And then I really liked my box push from Project and Portfolio 3. That one I liked, not because it's like super ambitious or there's a lot of action. I like it because it shows that I can do simple work too. Not like simple work, but not high-paced action, boom, boom, boom kind of work. It's a dude pushing a box. I really like that one too. And I like my Crap Fest bunny from character animation. That was a good one, but unfortunately you can't use anything that wasn't in Project and Portfolio 4 and 5 for your demo reel rough cut. So I put my logo on an intro card in Photoshop, and then also in Photoshop I put my name and my email and my YouTube channel. Went to iMovie. I know they want you to use Premiere Pro or After Effects or whatever, but I don't know how to use those, so iMovie it is. So I went in there and then I put my portfolio 4 and my portfolio 5 in there, put the title card at the end as well, put it to some music, and there it is. I will link to it either in the card or description, whatever I decide to do. If you want to go watch it, it's on YouTube, but it's unlisted. I'll post my actual demo reel when I'm done with school, but I figured it's just a rough cut. If you want to watch it, you can click on the link, but it doesn't really matter. Then what? Finally, milestone 4. Obviously, I had this done before I did my rough cut, but I figured let's just get the rough cut out of the way in terms of talking about it. But milestone 4 was really easy, and that's because I kicked butt in week 3 getting all that junk done. Check out the time first. Week 3, 23 hours, 25 minutes. Week 4, 6 hours and 54 minutes. So massive difference. That's even less than weeks 1 and 2 were. And week 1 was just blocking out. Now, why is that? Why did I spend such a small amount of time working? That's because I kicked butt in week 3. That's why I've said push yourself to the absolute limit in week 3 to get as much done as you can. And then in week 4, you're gonna have so much free time, it's crazy. Let's see what I did. The week 3 corrections took me took me 107 minutes, a little under 2 hours. My teacher was like, it's looking really good. I really like it. Maybe we can slow down your walk, add a frame in between each pose or something like that. He didn't have anything to say about my jump or the rotations or the overlapping or the get up. I was really surprised at that because I'm happy with the way it looks, but I was just like, they're gonna say something where I've got to do some sort of correction. But no, he didn't mention it at all, and I was like, oh my goodness, I love this. It just made me feel good that they didn't have any words of criticism on it, and it made me feel good. But then I slowed down my kick, like instead of having him go all the way through, I like paused a little bit and then had him kick. And if you would have noticed, I had that pause there in week 2, but then I was told to correct it. And then when I had my teacher switch, he was like, you know what, add a little pause there. And I'll talk more about that in the teacher section. Other than that, then I did some finalization. I posed my fingers a little bit better, got my eyes placed a little bit better, and then that was pretty much it. The rendering thing, I was still getting that color issue that I was getting in week 3, but at least this I was working on Friday, and it's not due until Sunday, obviously. So I had some time to find out what was working, what wasn't, and eventually I found out that my color space was just wrong. I've never messed with it, so I don't know why it was different, but whatever. I got that figured out. And like I said, this 11-second animation took about 20 minutes to render using Maya Hardware 2.0, so keep that 20 minutes in mind. Yours might be around the same. And that was pretty much it. So like I said, I spent 6 hours, 54 minutes in week 4 doing corrections, finalizations, and rendering, along with my demo reel rough cut, and that's pretty much it. I'm really happy with the result of my animation. So let's move on from the assignments and talk about the teacher a little bit. Like I said, weeks 1 and 2 were graded by the on-campus instructor, and weeks 3 and 4 were graded by the online instructor. So what do I have to think about that? The on-campus instructor, I was like, when you do good, he makes you feel good about it. But when I got the critique for week 2, I was like, oh shoot. And then I sure didn't feel good about myself having him tell me that the master control, you can't rotate in the X or Z. I mean, granted, that's my fault, and I'll take full credit on that. I feel like he laid it on a little thick. But regardless, he's not a bad teacher. He's a very good teacher. Definitely taught me some things that I didn't know, especially revolving around that dang master control. And yeah, but then in week 3, when I got that critique, and that was the first time that the online instructor had seen my work, it just felt really good. I guess my main problem with the setup of this class is that your block out, secondaries, tertiaries, and then polishing or corrections or finalizing. For weeks 1 and 2, I don't know when to stop or what is enough, so I sometimes feel like I under animate, but then in week 3 I just bring it home. They're grading my work, they're critiquing me before I'm done, and I'm like, look, it's gonna look good in the end. Just trust me, and it'll all be alright. So I guess that's my main problem with how this is set up, but what I was saying was, week 3 was the week that I brought it home. I got it to a level of what I consider a finalization and really nice, and that was the first time he had seen it, and he's like, I really like this. I like what you're doing. And I'm like, this is what I like. I like when they see the work as I want it to be seen. Because in block out, I don't want it to be seen. And secondaries, I don't want it to be seen. Tertiaries, finalization, that's when I want it to be seen. Give me your feedback on what I can do. Now, I understand that if I'm making a massive mistake, like the master control thing, it's not good to finalize it and then have them tell you that. So I understand the layout of this and I understand why they have it like this, especially for teaching purposes. But I'm like, it's just nice to have someone look at it when I want them to look at it. He really only had good things to say. He's like, maybe fix your head wobble a little bit here. At the peak of your kick, maybe slow down a little bit. And that was one of the things that I saw that the instructors kind of contradicted themselves on. In week 2, I had the peak where he slows down at the kick and then he's like, take it away. And then when I got the online instructor, he's like, I like the peak, put that back in. Also in week 1 when I was doing my block out, since I had the online instructor in Portfolio 4, he was like, play to the camera, always play to the camera. But the on-campus instructor is like, look, he's way off balance, and he actually went into the Maya scene, and he's like, look, he's nowhere near, sure it looks alright on camera, but he's nowhere near in balance. So I was playing to the online instructor, thinking that the on-campus one would be the same, but he's not. So then when I started to tweak my scene to the campus instructor's liking, the online instructor had a different vision for how that could look. What I really got out of it was on campus wants camera to look good and in Maya to look good. Online instructor was really telling me to just play to the camera. It is what it is there. Know your audience, know who you're animating for, and go from there. Oh, I forgot to tell you my month total. For the entire month, I spent 53 hours and 2 minutes working. So there's that for your notebooks and journals. So let's move into some tips and then an intro and we'll get out of here. So what can I say about tips? Tips, I would just say try your best to have a clear vision of what you want to begin with, because if you don't, it's just going to get really difficult because you're going to start animating something that you're not really into, and then you know, if you're not into it, it's just not going to look good. Then you're going to have a better idea in week 3 and you're like, I just want to scrap this whole thing and start over, and then it's just not going to have enough time. Definitely know what you want to do. I would also say know your audience. If you do have the on-campus one, he tends to like both to look good, both the camera and in Maya. But if you have the online instructor, it seems like he wants the camera to look good and he's not too concerned with what it looks like in Maya. So know that. Other than that, save iterations, basic junk, you already know it. You've been animating for multiple months now. That's pretty much it for tips. So in short, what can you expect? 11 assignments. You're in Maya. Week 1, block out. Week 2, secondary. Week 3, tertiary. And you probably want to finalize it in week 3. And then if you bring it home in week 3, week 4 you can spend just doing corrections, and that'll be that. And it'll be nice and simple. There's really not much to talk about. Yep. So I'm moving into, what 2 classes? Animation production and historical archetypes and mythology. Now, I haven't looked too much into animation production to see what all that's about, but I've looked into the mythology class. I'm not having high hopes for it. It looks like a read this and write papers class, so I'm not looking forward to that, especially over Thanksgiving, especially having 2 classes during Thanksgiving. Holy goodness. That's pretty much it. I'm not really looking forward to the mythology class. It doesn't look like there's really going to be any art. It looks more like papers and stuff. The animation production I haven't really looked into too much to see what all we're doing, but I guess I'll find out and I'll report to you guys in 4 weeks. Seems like it's gonna be it for this one, guys. So do I have a question for you? Shoot. Okay, here's my question. I'm wearing a Mickey Mouse shirt. Let's relate it to Disney Plus. Why the heck not? What is a movie you would say everyone should have to watch on Disney Plus? Like, what is something everyone should watch? A recommended movie. Someone at work told me to watch Remember the Titans, and I've heard of it, but I've never seen it. I got 35 minutes into it yesterday, and I'm going to try to finish it tomorrow. But it's really friggin' awesome. I would recommend that movie to anyone so far. I'm only 35 minutes in. I still have like an hour. But yeah, what movie should everyone see at least once on Disney Plus? That's my question for you. And that's pretty much it for this one, guys. So if you would please like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. See you guys later.